All right, this lesson is going to be shorter for sure than 7.1. So in this lesson, we're talking about inverse functions. The idea of an inverse is that they undo each other. So for example, subtracting is the inverse of adding. Division is the inverse of multiplication. The square root is the inverse of squaring something. So inverse functions undo each other. They're kind of opposites, okay? And the key idea with inverse functions is that x and y switch. X and y switch. So let's say, for example, that this is f of x, and I have this xy table here. And my xy table goes 0, 1, 2, 4, 8. And my y table goes 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say that's f of x. Then that means that the inverse, and this is how we write it. We write f almost like it has an exponent of -1. And we call that f inverse of x. Then f inverse would be 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the x's, and 0, 1, 2, 4, 8 for the y's. So we would read this as f inverse of x. And the thing is that whatever I put into the function of f, that's what comes out of the function for f inverse. Whatever comes out of the function for f, that goes into the function for f inverse. The inputs and the outputs are switched around. So let's just sketch these real quick. So there's 8. Plot these points here. If I can count. All right, so F, we have 0, 2, 1, 4, 2, 5, 4, 6, and 8, 7. So there's f of x. Almost kind of looks like a square root function. Now, f inverse, now we plot these points. 2, 0, 4, 1, 5, 2, 6, 4, and 7, 8. So there's f inverse of x. So you can see they have this similarity, but essentially the x's and y's of every point are switched. Same thing with domain and range. Remember, domain is everything that x can be, and range is everything that y can be. So for the case of f, the domain is from 0 to 8. Because my x's go from 0 all the way to 8. And remember, we use those brackets when we include the number. The range is the possible y value. So my lowest y value is 2, and my highest y value is 7. So my range is 2 to 7. Now for f inverse, it's flip-flopped. Now my domain is what my range was, and my range is what my domain was. So again, just another example of that x and y switch. The inputs and the outputs switch. All right, writing inverse functions. So here's what you need to do. You need to find f inverse of x. So I'm going to give you an equation, and you have to write the equation of the inverse. So let's just say I have f of x equals 2x. So here's what we do. The first step is to switch x and y. Okay, because if I'm going to do an inverse, then the x and y flip-flop. F of x, remember, is just another way to write y. So I really am going to have x equals 2y. Step 2 is to solve for y. So to solve for y, I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides, and I have x over 2. Y equals x over 2. So f inverse is x over 2. And you can see here, instead of multiplying by 2, I'm dividing by 2 because multiplication and division are inverse operations of each other. All right, let's try another one. F of x equals x over 4 minus 5. All right, first step is we switch x and y. So remember, f of x is really y. So I'm just going to put x there. And then where there's x, I'm going to put y. To solve for y, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So I have x plus 5 equals y over 4. Then to undo division, we have to multiply both sides by 4. Now this is very important. When you multiply the left side by 4, you have to multiply everything by 4. So those cancel out, and I have 4x plus 20 equals y. So I would say f inverse of x is 4x plus 20. All right, so that is it for the 7-2 notes, and we'll see you soon.